My brother is a married A-list celebrity who has been cheating like crazy lately to try to get his sister-in-law's attention. Tabloid gossip ignited the hot seat. And my brother sneered at my sister-in-law. I make 80% of your company's money. Now we're all going down together. Sister-in-law looked indifferent. You're finished. I can't be finished. She pointed to me next to her. From today, I'll hold your sister instead. My brother, Ethan Song, with his godlike face and dog-like acting skills, is an A-list celebrity who was strongly promoted by a backing company. My sister-in-law is that backing company. She is the only daughter of a wealthy family. Both parents died in a car accident when she was 18. And all the greedy relatives are eyeing the inheritance. She protected all her assets and made her way in the business world on her own. A few years ago, backing companies flooded into the entertainment industry. She also set up an agency. From tens of thousands of rising star. Picked my brother. The problem is that my brother is not a rising star at all. He was my sister-in-law's elementary school classmate. I was still learning how to speak at the time. The first thing I could say was Dad. The second thing I could say was Mom. And the third thing I could say was Victoria Sue is the prettiest. When my parents looked at me in shock, I winked and said that my brother had taught me all this. That night my brother got a double whammy from my parents. And the flames of early love were snuffed out in the cradle. As it turned out, the stars were all in the dark. My brother did not fall in love in middle school and college. And there were many girls who chased after him. And after they were unsuccessful, there were many boys who chased after him. Love letters like snowflakes fly to the home. My brother did not even read. All to me as a draft paper. I read a book next to him that said, "It's unfortunate to meet someone too amazing when you're young." My brother hugged the book and cried. Victoria Sue is still his favorite, but Victoria Sue transferred away at an early age and was not heard from again until she became a famous young female president and returned to the public. My brother saw the news and immediately decided to look for Victoria Sue. The best time to pursue true love is 10 years ago, followed by now. My brother and I prepared a night's worth of love letters, gifts, and roses. My brother dressed up and traveled to Victoria Sue's company with me in tow. We arrived at the entrance of the company to see. Goodness gracious. It was packed. One by one. Cars stopped at the gate. And all the men who came down were wearing exquisite makeup. My brother had a burning fire in his eyes. These are my competitors. I already recognized several familiar faces among these men, having probably recently participated in a talent show or acted in a few small-budget Kokeshi puppets. I also saw the notice sheet for the interview posted on the door of Victoria Sue's company. Victoria Sue's company is supposed to be an agency. And these men are all here for interviews, but my brother didn't know this yet. He thought these men were all here to steal Victoria Sue from him. He pushed everyone away. Striding to the middle of the field, the light shone on his body. His skin was cold white. His eyebrows were dark. And his 5'5" figure was more and more eye-catching under the backdrop of his straight suit. In front of him, Victoria Sue was sitting there. A head of refreshing long hair with a white shirt dress. Her face was clear and beautiful. Her temperament detached. My brother cleared his throat and spoke deeply. Long time no see, pass. A mid-range voice suddenly rang out. And my brother was startled to realize that the person who said it was a fat man next to Victoria Xu. It was then that he saw that Victoria Sue was sitting in the center, with a row of people sitting on each side. No way. The fat man said sternly, and used a pen to put a cross on a piece of paper. My brother couldn't understand. Who are you? If you say no, you can't. The fat man frowned. I'm a teacher in the acting department of the Chinese theater. Fatty turned to Victoria Sue. Mr. Sue, this definitely won't work. The lines don't have proper vocal training once you hear them. Victoria Sue was silent for a moment as she sized up my brother, then smiled. Mr. Liu. She whispered to the fat man, you're an artist, and I'm a businessman. I don't care if he's a good actor. I only care if he can make money for me. She walked over to my brother, raised her hand and picked up my brother's chin with her fingertips, and turned her head to look at the group of interviewers. Trust me, with this face, he'll definitely be a hit. Victoria Sue's vision could not be described as anything less than venomous. My brother has become a beautiful sight in the entertainment industry with his stunning beauty and stunning naivety. It can be said that all the rising stars with charming airhead persona now have to call my brother as their grandmaster. My brother is red and purple. But he is not happy at all. Victoria Sue doesn't even remember him. My brother tried to rehash the past with Victoria Sue. But Victoria's swamped with work and was busy every day. If my brother dares to say a word about something that has nothing to do with work, she will turn her head and leave. My brother came to me and asked me what to do. I looked at my brother and fretted for him. I've never seen such a love brain rising star. Other people's fans are afraid of idol career downfall. And my brother has been in ruins since his debut. Things took a major turn when he went to a food variety show. As we all know, every variety show needs that one black and red vase artist. Inviting fans and curses at the same time, providing both traffic and discussion for the show. My brother fits the bill perfectly. In addition to the main variety show stars, there are some old-timers who are resident veterans in the show business, and my brother was among them. And he was beaten up very badly. The fans all know that the main character is nothing but beautiful, and they might say something to offend the veterans. So they have already prepared all kinds of plans in advance, intending to give public apology to all parties as soon as the program is broadcast. However, my brother's behavior was beyond everyone's expectation. No one knew that he had been studying to be a chef before he was picked by Victoria Sue to enter the entertainment industry. So on the variety show, my brother topped off his heavenly looks and performed culinary expertise for everyone. A pork braised vermicelli, a hearty stews. All the seniors agreed that this program cannot leave him. When the first episode of the program aired, the hot search of Ethan Song becomes a powerhouse for the first time. Went straight to the top of the entertainment list. The ratings for the next few episodes rose higher and higher, culminating in the last live broadcast, where countless viewers stayed in front of the screen to watch my brother show off his cooking skills. The host teased, saying that when my brother's wife must be very blessed in the future. My brother turned his head to look at the side of the screen. Do you want to have that mouthful? The cameraman's hand shook. The camera tilted, and everyone saw that the question was for Victoria Sue. The host was dumbfounded. All the viewers in front of the screen were dumbfounded. I, who stood with Victoria Sue and watched the recording, was also dumbfounded. That night, the hot search exploded. My brother's circle of fans were in an uproar. Late at night at 12 o'clock, my brother received a phone call from Victoria Sue, who had an icy tone and hung up after saying that he should go over. My brother felt like he was going to be murdered on the spot and then split up when he went there. He grabbed my sleeve and asked me to go with him. I reluctantly agreed for the sake of sibling love. Victoria Sue's house is no different from an office. Cold and without a trace of fireworks, Victoria Sue opens the door for us. A woman who can pull off pajamas like a suit. Her hair is immaculate and her eyes are cold and calm. Sit. My brother and I sat down on the couch together, as if on pins and needles. So what? My brother was the first to speak. I realized that I may have caused major damage to the company. Victoria Sue doesn't say anything. The atmosphere was cold as ice. I grabbed the sparkling water on the coffee table and gulped it down, trying to calm my nerves. My brother carefully looked at Victoria Sue's face. Is this okay? I'll sign my sister's agency contract to you. You can exploit her as much as you want, and make up for the loss as much as you can. I took a breath of bubbling water and sprayed it far away. I stood up and rushed to the kitchen to get a knife. I don't need Sister Yen to do it. I'll slaughter this white-eyed wolf first. Victoria Sue stopped me. She looked towards my brother. Your sister is your sister, and you'll have to pay back your losses yourself. My brother started to shiver. How do I pay back? Marry me. Victoria Sue said calmly. After my brother married Victoria Sue, public opinion boiled for a while and eventually subsided. Fans eventually came to an agreement. Ethan Song is law-abiding, pays his taxes diligently, and has no dark secrets other than liking his boss, not to mention that the boss is still his wife. If I were my brother, I'd have to kneel down and kowtow 3 times to thank the entertainment industry for today's tolerance. However, my brother's marriage is famous but not real. Victoria Sue's decision to marry my brother was the result of an urgent and expensive process of hiring a team of 3 damage control specialists and all the calculations that went into it. After the marriage, my brother could not see Victoria Sue at all, but he could still see these 3 teams of damage control specialists from time to time. Mr. Song, in order to prevent you from doing anything to harm the company's interests again without thinking. Mr. Sue asked me to follow you around. The PR team's chief specialist, wearing glasses as thick as the bottoms of wine bottles, sat on the sofa in my house, giving my brother a lesson. Your current persona is charming airhead dedicated husband devoted husband entertainment industry clear stream global first good man. The chief expert is worthy of being the chief expert, saying so many words without taking a breath of air. This is what our team has carefully created for you. You must keep it. My brother was annoyed to death, quietly signaling me with his eyes to send off. I was nagging at my brother for selling me out at the first sign of danger. So I inclined my head and pretended not to see. The damage control specialist paid no attention to my brother's disgust and was still frothing at the mouth. Mr. Song, you have to trust the professionalism of our team. I've been in the industry for many years, and I know women's psychology best. My brother's eyes, which were already stormy, suddenly calmed down, just like a husky suddenly seeing a bone. You said you know a lot about female psychology. The expert was confident. That's right. My brother excitedly waved at the expert. That's great. I have a very important question to discuss with you. The expert looked serious and put his ear to my brother's mouth, who whispered earnestly. You said, does Mr. Sue like me? Expert. The expert contemplates for a long time, reveals a joyful color, and slowly applauds. Very well, Mr. Song, you have entered your persona. What persona? Charming airhead dedicated husband devoted husband entertainment industry clear stream global first good man. Sending away damage control specialist. My brother was silent in the living room for a long time. He wanted to call Victoria Sue, dialed the number left by Victoria Sue, and picked up the talent coordinator. The talent coordinator called the agent. The agent called Mr. Sue's office. And the person who answered the phone was Victoria Sue's assistant. The assistant said that Mr. Sue is busy. There are still 8 meetings behind. Please leave a message. Mr. Sue will listen to the message after the 8 meetings. My brother slammed the phone. I looked at him sympathetically, feeling that he was like a concubine in a deep palace, empty of great beauty. But due to the busy political affairs of the saint, it has been difficult to see the face of heaven. I was even thinking that if things went on like this, I was afraid that my brother would be married for half his life and return still inexperienced. However, before I could help him think of a solution, my brother suddenly leapt up from the sofa. I've thought of a way. I looked at his excitement and was very fuming. If my brother could think of a way. It was definitely not a good one. My brother said, I'm going to be in the group. I have to say, my brother has never been so positive about work in his life. He went to the crew in a blaze of glory. But what came was not good news. In a calm afternoon, Ethan Song late night secret meeting 18-line aspiring actress report suddenly rushed to the hot search. And a group of indignation. People have commented. The last piece of pure land of the love brain is polluted. The so-called pure love fool in fact is also a scum man, obviously. If this goes on, my brother's audience will be ruined and he will become the scum that everyone in the entertainment industry is clamoring for. I rushed to the theater set at a rapid pace, and just as I got out of the car, I was nervously pulled by my agent. It's over. It's over. It's all over. The agent said nervously. Just aspiring actress went into Ethan Song's room. Now there are all reporters squatting outside the room. The staff can't even invite them away. You can't go into the room. I can't get in. The front desk won't give me a room card. I thought about it for a moment and had an idea. 10 minutes later, I showed up at the front desk wearing a ducktail hat and a large scarf and typed on my cell phone to signal the front desk. I lost my room card and need a replacement. The receptionist scrutinized me and I pulled down the scarf to reveal the upper half of my face while pointing to my throat to indicate that I was hoarse. I asked my own sister. My brother and I look extremely similar in our eyebrows and eyes. Plus my agent got me a makeup artist to work on it a bit. And at the moment, under the dim lights of the hotel, the receptionist had no doubt at all that I was Ethan Song himself, getting the access card. I went straight to my room. As soon as I opened the door, I rushed into the room, ready to witness a big scene that would ruin my pure teenage heart. And I did see it. I saw my brother Ethan Song in bed with the angel-faced, devil-bodied aspiring actress. Under strategic board games, the two were fully dressed, maintaining a polite distance with strategic board games discs between them. 3 hours. Song. The aspiring actress said, "If your wife doesn't show up, you'll have to pay extra." The two of them played as if no one else was there, and my brother looked up before he realized me. "Why you?" My brother was shocked. "Where's Victoria Sue? The door is closed." "Right. Don't let the press see we're inside playing strategic board games." I gave my stupid brother a sneer, laughing my ass off. "How can I listen to you on this?" I immediately turned around and pulled open the door to my room, yelling to the reporters poking their heads outside, "Come and see, come and see." Big star Ethan Song and an actress are actually doing this in bed. Reporters swarmed the room. Aspiring actress was stunned. She was dexterous and took advantage of the chaos to escape, leaving my brother surrounded by the crowd of reporters. Of course, I was also swept into the center of the gossip. Long guns aimed at me, microphone handed to my mouth. "Miss Song Jining, you're Mr. Song's sister. May I ask why your brother is playing strategic board games?" "Because he can't play any more complicated games." "What is your brother's motivation for playing strategic board games late at night with aspiring actresses?" "To piss off my sister-in-law." The reporters fell silent together. I saw some of the female reporters with crystallized tears in their eyes. That night, an in-depth character interview replaced the previous scandal and appeared at the top of the hot search, inside the detailed explanation of Ethan Song in order to let his wife to look at his own story. Spend $500 an hour to hire aspiring actress to accompany his late-night strategic board games. The reporter's writing is quite beautiful. If the hero is not my stupid brother, I guess I will also fall in love with this hopeless romantic on the spot. I think I would have fallen in love with this hopeless romantic on the spot if the hero wasn't my stupid brother. My brother tried to make himself disappear, but the more he did, the more popular he became. He wanted to threaten Victoria Sue with death. But it turned out to be mutual prosperity. Victoria Sue's company's stock price is floating all the way up, and she still hasn't come to see my brother in person, except to send an email with a cumin serious tone warning: "If you keep messing around, I'm going to promote your sister instead." My brother read the email, which had only 15 words counting punctuation, 3 times over and deleted it ruthlessly. 10 minutes later, he quietly tugged on my sleeve and asked, "Do you know how to recover a deleted email?" Me. Scram. My brother was in a foul mood and asked me to go get a drink with him. I coldly refused. "I don't want to go out today." My brother pulled out a bank card and threw it in front of me. I quickly picked up the bank card and stuffed it into my pants pocket while putting on my jacket. "Don't go yet." My brother and I made 7 turns, ditched countless paparazzi, and managed to enter a bar located in a deep alley, drinking into the sadness. I took advantage of my brother's drunkenness and quietly came to a secluded place, opened my cell phone, and entered the bank card number. He didn't tell me the password, but I confidently typed in Victoria Sue's birthday, and sure enough, the verification passed. As a woman who drinks with A-list celebrities, I tapped on my balance with a smile on my face to see how much money I'd made. A line of numbers clearly caught my eye. 2.68. I rubbed my eyes and tried to recognize IT. IT was still 2.68. Me. I stormed off to the box in a rage, ready to find this bullshit A-list celebrity who cheated on my affections with a bank card with a balance of $2.68, and smack his handsome billion-dollar face until his mom and my mom didn't even recognize him. Oh, like we're both the same mom, sorry. Maybe I had a little too much to drink too. I rushed to the box and realized my brother was gone. The bar owner came from the side and was grabbed by me. "Where's my brother?" The bar owner shook his head, suddenly showing a look of panic. I caught the same look in his eyes and my grip on his collar became tighter. "What happened? You know something, don't you? Speak." The bar owner was so stuck that I couldn't breathe. He stammered, "Today, Sister Lee and her sisters also came." I felt the corners of my eyes jump hard. I knew Sister Lee. A famous rich woman who extremely loved to pick up young fresh meat in the circle. She had sent out invitations at various events many times before. And my brother didn't even add WeChat. Not giving her any face at all. What did Sister Lee do? No. Didn't do anything. Just let me send a bottle of wine over after knowing that Mr. Song is in this box. My pupils tightened. Did you take the wine from the liquor cabinet? No. It's Sister Lee's own personal stash. I picked up the wine glass on the table. There was residual wine inside. I sniffed and tasted a little bit with the tip of my tongue. And immediately knew it was bad. Something had been added to this wine. Sober, you could taste it at first taste. But my brother was already too drunk, not caring about my boss who was shivering on the sidelines. I dashed out the door and took a cab straight to the villa area in the center of the city, Victoria Sue, and I racked my brother into the car, with Sister Lee following sardonically behind. Yen yen ah. Victoria Sue helped my brother sit down in the back seat and turned back to face Sister Lee squarely. She raised her hand and directly threw a slap onto Sister Lee's exquisitely maintained face. Victoria Sue, you. Another slap came with a crisp ring in the air. Victoria Sue shrugged it off and got into the back seat, buckling my brother in. To Ning. Drive. I hurriedly got into the driver's seat and drove away from the entrance of the villa. Go to my villa on the outskirts of the city. Victoria Sue said. There might be paparazzi squatting outside your house. I drove all the way to the outskirts of town at the address Victoria Sue sent me. My brother, who had a little bit of consciousness left, opened his mouth in a low, dark voice. Victoria Sue. Victoria Sue turned her head to look at him. My brother. Victoria Sue. His eyes were still closed and Victoria Sue thought she needed to answer him and spoke. I am. My brother still mumbled. Victoria Sue. His consciousness was still fuzzy, just calling her name but I couldn't see Victoria Sue's expression in the darkness. And for a long time, I only heard her ask softly, why are you on the balcony? She didn't seem to want an answer, but my brother's consciousness seemed to recover a little, and he whispered, the door is locked. When we arrived, the door was indeed locked from the outside. In other words, my brother was on the balcony and actually tried to jump from the second floor. Victoria Sue's voice was vaguely angry. Do you know how dangerous it is to jump down from the second floor? Why would you take such a risk? You said it. What did I say? You said, my brother stubbornly whispered, to uphold moral standards. My grip on the steering wheel stiffened. That seemed to be the day my brother went to sign a brokerage contract with Victoria Sue, and I accompanied him, exuberant as he exited the office. Did you hear that? Victoria Sue just told me to uphold moral standards. My brother shook me. Is it true that she'll be upset if I'm good with another girl? There's a limit to how much you can make a fool of yourself. I was shaken to the point of extreme speechlessness. People just don't want to bear the financial loss after your career downfall. My brother was immobilized by his seatbelt, his head sinking down. He seemed to be having a hard time. His breathing was getting more and more rapid. You said it. I remember. Victoria Sue reached out to touch his forehead, but my brother suddenly grabbed Victoria Sue's wrist and yanked her over. He kissed it. I stopped on the side of the road with a sharp brake. Help, why am I in a car? After a long 10 seconds or so, my brother eventually eased himself away from Victoria Sue, his forehead resting against Victoria Sue's collarbone, panting raggedly as if restraining something. The drug that Sister Lee had given him had finally taken effect by now. Victoria Sue, get off. I heard my brother say, biting his own lip. He was using the last of his sanity. Why? I can't get through it if you stay in the car. Sweat rolled down my brother's temples as he laboriously tried to hold himself together. Ning will take me back. Victoria Sue interrupted by holding my brother's body. Ji Ning. It's hard for you to take a taxi back. My brother's body trembled. What are you doing? Victoria Sue lifted my brother's face, came close to his lips, and whispered, exercising your wife's rights. After Victoria Sue exercised her wife's rights, my brother didn't get out of bed the next day. Instead, Victoria Sue went to the office as usual. Thundering through his 8 daily meetings, I started a companion book between the two of them online under the cloak of a vest, titled Powerhouse CEO and Her Little Husband, which received a huge number of views. And readers have been urging for more. I prevented my brother from seeing it until one time he went to take a shower and left his phone outside, and I accidentally saw the screen and realized he was also catching up on the updates. I said that the review section of the book More Than 200 Ethan Song is so handsome which brain dead fan brush. So it is his OWN.IN addition to the 200 or so comments he made. There are also many comments from other readers in the book review section. The characterization about Ethan's song is also too real, ha 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 ha. It feels like the female lead's persona is not that vivid. This one makes a lot of sense. After all, I'm more familiar with my brother, and I'm actually looking forward to getting to know their story from Victoria Sue's point of view someday. The male lead is too humble and doesn't feel the love of the female lead. Maybe in the story I wrote, that's true, but in real life, I know that's not the case. Sister Lee's scandal broke a month later. The chain of evidence was complete, and she was soon being investigated for multiple offenses. And I knew that the driving force behind it had to be Victoria Sue, and when I went back to the bar where I drank with my brother, I found that the previous owner had been evicted. Victoria Sue had a grudge against the owner for handing my brother spiked drinks, and there was no way she would allow him to continue doing business there. Instead, the bar was replaced by a board game room. And while most board game rooms are all about script killing and werewolf killing, with some Texas Hold'em thrown in for good measure, this is the only one that focuses on strategic board games. The owner of the table games room told me that it was specifically requested by a certain female investor, Sue, who wished to remain anonymous. My brother and Victoria Sue are going to make up their wedding next month. However, my brother's new movie is about to start, and he has been sent by Victoria Sue to his acting teacher's house for closed training. I stayed at Victoria Sue's home to accompany her in some pre-wedding preparations. In the evening, the acting teacher sent us a text message, telling us that my brother's acting skills are out of this world, and his emotional outbursts are infectious. Victoria Sue and I looked at each other with a hint of doubt in our eyes, although my brother swore that he would work hard to improve his acting skills before the closed training program. He couldn't have improved so fast in just over a week, right? The acting teacher sent us the script, and we both read through my brother's character biography. Good guy. Read through the whole thing down, my eyes full of only 4 big words: hopeless romantic. His previous role as Mr. Bully was either as a facepalm AI or a pompous oil field, and now that he's finally encountered the opportunity to play in character, I guess his career is about to go to the next level. All I can say is, silly brother has silly luck. In the evening, Victoria Sue was trying on dresses in another room, and I was helping her pack up her jewelry in her bedroom. From next to the antique jewelry box, I found a diary. When I opened the diary, there was a picture on the title page of a pretty but aloof little girl and a small but smiling boy, with bright elementary school 2005.9 written in blue. It was a picture of Victoria Sue and my brother in elementary school. I can't believe she still has this photo. Could it be that she actually hasn't forgotten my brother? With intense curiosity, I opened the first page of the diary. Victoria Sue's story. 1. I didn't think that I would ever see Ethan Song again. He looks nothing like he did when he was a child. And if it weren't for the tear mole at the corner of his eye, I would hardly be sure that this grown man with 8-pack abs, who is 5'5" tall, is the same person as the little boy who was skinny and small. So he looked like a big head, with one of his incisors gaping out all the time. But even in the period when he was still an ugly duckling, I liked him very much. It was a very strange feeling, because I didn't have much chance to experience the word like in my life. When I was very young, my parents took me for a checkup, and the doctor told me that I had a mild emotional cognitive disorder, which was so mild that it didn't affect my understanding of human emotions, but caused me to be slow and cold, and it was difficult for me to express my feelings as well as the average person. That's why I haven't had many friends since I was a kid. They always play together in groups, or jump rope, or play shuttlecock, and they won't call me when they play, because they think Victoria Sue is good student, always cold face. and don't like to talk to others. I wasn't going to talk to Suzy Yuan either. The teacher arranged for him to be my classmate so that I could tutor him in his studies. He didn't learn a lick. He just talks to me. Victoria Sue, look. The head teacher is wearing red socks today. I don't care about what color socks the head instructor is wearing. Victoria Sue, do you know that the cats behind the teaching building have become 3? There were obviously only 2 before. I don't care about how many cats there are behind the teaching building. Victoria Sue, I got 28 points on the test. That's 72 points less than you, yay. I don't care about how many points you got on the test either. Then one day, Ethan Song got sick and didn't come to school. It was a quiet day. No one made noise or bothered me to study, but I suddenly felt as if something was missing. I might care a little about Ethan Song. I don't know why myself. The next day Song came to school and he was clamoring next to me. Victoria Sue, you know what? I ate 3 ice creams and then got diarrhea. I was fine with 6 before. I don't care about how many ice creams you eat to get diarrhea. Might care a little bit too, after all. It seems nice to have Ethan Song next to me to talk to. Mom and Dad had been worried I'd be the lonely kid when the test results came back, but with Ethan Song around, I don't seem so lonely anymore. 2. When I was about to graduate from elementary school, I changed schools. My father's business had problems and we had to move to another city. I tried to comfort my mom, but I don't know why. Maybe I wasn't good at comforting her, but instead she cried more and more. I didn't say goodbye to Ethan Song. Ethan Song was not a strong kid, so he probably would have been a little sad to say goodbye to me, and I didn't want to see him sad. He's a good person. He'll have lots of friends without me, and he'll meet a girl he likes in the future, so he won't be alone. And I kept a picture of us together with Ethan Song, who will be with me, so I won't be alone either. We moved to another city, yet Dad stopped coming home. I heard, as an afterthought, that he was out with other aunts and had other children. I wanted to try to get my dad home, so I worked my butt off and started learning the company business early on, trying to get as good as I could. But Dad still didn't come home, and Mom said he preferred the kids outside. Mom cried and blamed me. She asked me why I always kept quiet. I couldn't be as pampered as the kids outside and say, "Daddy, I love you," like that. If I was that kind of kid, Daddy would have come home. Mom would finish complaining and then hug me and apologize to me. I don't blame her. I know she's suffering too. I'm just a little sad. I was the good kid, but I wasn't the kid who deserved to be loved. I was an ice hole that couldn't see the bottom, and no one would have enough energy to keep filling the ice hole with love all the time. Not even my parents. I understand that, and I don't blame anyone. I just look at my picture with Ethan Song late at night, and no one has spoken to me that much since I left him. "Look," I said to him in the photo with his teeth open. I ended up being the lonely kid. 3. The year of my bar mitzvah, Mom and Dad finally went through with their divorce. On the way to the paperwork, however, there was an accident. They had loved each other for years, hated each other for more than 10 years, and in the end, they still couldn't separate and went to the other side together. I didn't shed a single tear at the funeral, and all the people pointed their fingers at me. They said, "Look, the daughter of the Sue family is so cold-blooded." Maybe I am cold-blooded, but at this moment cold-bloodedness is a good thing for me. I need to inherit my father's estate and clear out all the unsuspecting relatives. The day I removed my uncles, who were vice presidents but had enriched themselves, from the company, they pointed at my nose and cursed me. They said that women like me were monsters, that no one would ever marry me in this life, that no one would ever love me, that I was destined for no happiness. I turned away, not returning any of their expressions. 4 years of economics taught me that people have to make the most rational decisions. Love is nothing more than an emotional value that provides utility to humans. Or maybe it's a hormone that disappears as fast as it's produced. Rationally speaking, love has no meaning. So me not getting love isn't so pathetic, is it? For all my self-assurance fell apart the moment Ethan Song appeared in front of me. He had changed so much, and yet he didn't seem to have changed at all. Still talks a lot as well as still not too smart. He came to participate in the selection of artists, which is very understandable. I remember, when I was a child, once the teacher assigned the composition, asked to write their own dreams. He wrote, "I want to become a big star." When my secretary found out that Ethan Song and I used to go to school together, she warned me, "Mr. Sue is now a big family. It is inevitable that there are people who have old feelings with you before who want to come to take some advantage of you. And they talk about their feelings. But in fact, they are all taking advantage of you. There is no relationship, others can't. But Ethan Song has the right to take advantage of me. I'm willing to help him become a big star. I paired Ethan Song with the best agent. Set up the most efficient studio. Ethan Song called me and said he wanted to talk to me. I was obviously sitting right next to the phone. But I had my secretary tell him I was in a meeting that I couldn't meet Ethan Song. When he smiles, it's like sunshine on a spring lake. Everything melts away. You don't understand that people who have been in an ice cave for too long can't get close to the sun once they've been warmed. They never have the courage to go back to the ice cave. 5. That food variety show was the only time I was involved in Ethan Song's trip. I watched him make hearty stews and pork braised vermicelli. And my thoughts drifted back for no apparent reason to many years ago, when he was bickering next to me. Victoria Sue. Have you heard? A northeastern food restaurant opened in front of the school is so delicious. I feel it's just like that. I've been learning to cook from my mom with my sister recently. I think I'll definitely cook better than the restaurant in the future. As my thoughts returned, I saw everyone in the room staring at me, and Ethan Song was looking at me too. He was so good looking. Those eyes looked like they were reflecting a river of stars in the sky, shining brightly. I watched the live replay and realized what he had said. The damage control specialist told me that there are a lot of ways to deal with it. 1,000 and a million. I held down the damage control specialist's hand as he continued to report. I'll go with the marriage one. It was my greed, my selfishness, my delusion. I think back to that moment when I locked eyes with Ethan Song. If this was the chance to possess you, there was no way I could miss it. 6. I regret it. The day after the marriage license, Ethan Song offered to go on a date. I ran away. I realized this was just a starting point. I didn't know how to date, how to love someone, how to be loved by someone. I didn't really know how to be a wife. But started it all on a whim. So when the news of Ethan Song going to a hotel with an aspiring actress reached me, I felt a dull ache in my heart and a sense of relief that I should have known better. I quietly went to the set and watched the whole drama. It was the first time my secretary had ever watched me get that angry, and I didn't know what I was angry about. Maybe the fact that a man would dare to make such a big joke about his own future. Or maybe I was using my anger to cover up the fact that I was moved by nothing that a man would be willing to joke about his own future just to get my attention. Would Ethan Song like me? Will Ethan Song really like me? 7. Ethan Song went to a bar with his sister. I was curious to hear what he would say. So I did the stalking thing like a thief for the first time in my life. Unfortunately, I was late when I arrived. All I saw was his sister Taning rushing out of the bar like a madwoman, taking a car and rushing off into the darkness of the night. Intuition told me something seemed wrong, so I drove up and followed. When I saw Ethan Song at Li Shui's villa, I guess I should still have little expression on my face, but my whole body was shaking. How dare she touch Ethan Song? How dare she? Li Shui ate bear heart and leopard gall. Dare to touch my Ethan Song. I'll make her life worse than death. I'm a businessman. I know not to set up rivals in the mall. The group behind Li Shui and my company also have a lot of interests to deal with. It's easy to pull one hair and move the whole body, but I'll make her worse than dead and regret what she did tonight for the rest of her life. I promised. On the drive to the villa, my entire mind was a mess. I don't even know what I said or did. It was only after Ning got out of the car and left that I realized that Ethan Song and I were the only two people left in the car. He moved closer to me, his burning breath breathing into my hair. I hadn't been drinking, but it felt like my whole body was floating on a cloud. Victoria Sue. He whispered my name. I really always wanted to tell you. I love you. Like electricity trailing through my entire body, I tilted my head back. The blackness of the night so deep I could feel the hot liquid roiling out of the corners of my eyes before plummeting down. I love you too. I love you too. I also always and forever love you. Those long, lonely years finally came to an end, and I saw someone coming to me from the other side of the world. And if it were possible, I would love to go back and tell my former self there will be someone who loves you, and he's on his way. I closed Victoria Sue's diary. I won't tell my brother about this. Just as I won't tell Victoria Sue that the dream of becoming a big star was just something my brother made up on the spot when he was writing his essays. And that later on, he wrote about becoming a scientist, an architect, and an astronaut, but what does it matter? It doesn't matter what he becomes, what matters is that the dream he wrote down was seen by the girl he loved, cherished for so many years, and finally realized by his own hand. This is a story that belongs to Victoria Sue and Ethan Song. And they still have a lot of time to tell it to each other in person. The day before my brother and Victoria Sue's wedding, I was at home cleaning up the house, and somehow, I flipped through my brother's composition book from elementary school. I suddenly realized that maybe there were some things that I was mistaken about. Becoming a big star might not be the same as the rest of the dreams he had improvised for his essays, because he had given this dream some other meaning. On the day of the wedding, when Victoria Sue came to Ethan's Song, dragging her long wedding dress, as the groom's sister, I offered a small gift. I took my brother's essay and projected it onto the big screen. Everyone saw 80-year-old Ethan Song, writing in one stroke. My dream is to be a big star and let the whole world know about me, so I can hold the hand of the girl I love and walk down the long red carpet and make her the happiest woman in the world. And he really did.